this is simply ridiculous? Why is that?
Yeah, it is.
This is for
ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I mean, look, there are a wide range of investigative options available to the Justice Department that the Attorney General could invoke if he was really interested in looking into this. But what he essentially has done here, if this reporting is true, is he's gone directly from concerns over these issues to the possibility that he might appoint a special prosecutor. Now, when I look at the letter the language of the letter that he sent, it does look like that's kind of it's preliminary that he might actually do that. But the notion that he would do that certainly on the surface would be seen as political and perhaps retaliation for the special prosecutor that's looking into the Russia issue.
John, you wanted to respond? Did you have the same response as his?
I was just hoping that the career prosecutors in the Justice Department would set him straight and refuse to take part in this kind of action and give him a little backbone on this. This is not standard Justice Department policy. It's just the opposite.
Yeah. Michael, listen, here's what the president had to say this is on November 3rd, about the FBI and the DOJ. Watch this.
The saddest thing is that because I'm the President of the United States, I am not supposed to be involved with the Justice Department. I'm not supposed to be involved with the FBI. I'm not supposed to be doing the kind of things that I would love to be doing. And I'm very frustrated by it.
Coincidence, Michael D'Antonio, that there now might be an investigation?
No, not at all. I mean, this is a president who's shown that he's willing to go where other presidents have refused to go, and he's going to politicize as much of the government as he possibly can. You know, it's not a mistake that the folks that he relates well to, the Dutertes in the Philippines, with Putin in Russia, these are strong men who rule as authoritarians, and they can direct, in Duterte's case, extrajudicial killings. I think, you know, our president's not going to get to that point, but he admires the decisiveness. He admires the control that they have, and I think anything he can do to disrupt an investigation of him and to divert our attention is open to consideration.
Michael, Sean, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it. When we come back, I'll ask a former American diplomat what this newly revealed correspondence between Donald Trump Jr. and WikiLeaks will mean for U.S.-Russia relations.
We just got this information a few moments ago. Jeff Sessions has now opened the door to the possibility of a special counsel on the Uranium One story and on the Hillary Clinton scandal with regard to the Clinton Foundation and the emails and all of what surrounds that. Concerned about that, Zach?
I mean, look, I mean, what this shows is that we have yet again another attempt by this administration to undermine the Russia investigation and throw up smoke to try to distract people from what's actually going on as indictments are coming down, as people are going to jail, and as we expect more indictments to come down as well. This so-called scandal has been debunked so many times from fact checkers. I mean, time after time after time.
Charlie, you want to respond to that?
Donna Brazile can kind of try to go cut back some of her comments, talking about how the Hillary Clinton campaign rigged the election, the DNC rigged the election last year. But the fact remains that if you listen to the things that she said and the accusations she leveled, it's clear that the system was rigged. And Donald Trump became president and did the statesmanlike thing and decided, you know what, I'm not going to try to prosecute these things. I'm not going to prosecute my old enemies. But I think it's becoming very clear that that so much of the crimes and bad things that the Clintons did, Hillary Clinton did, the Clinton campaign did, that maybe he was being too generous, and maybe these things are serious enough that we should start. Well, they're going to
give it another hearing and another look. Jeff Sessions is going to testify before Congress tomorrow morning, so no doubt a lot of this is going to come up. And they released this evening that they are open to the idea of another special counsel. With regard to Saturday Night Live, I mean, this is pretty interesting in terms of the way they went after all of those individuals and even Hillary Clinton. Look at this one from the end of that bit. Let's play the Hillary Clinton part.
We won't stop now because we need another path for our country.
Another vision for America. Another chance for me, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Just one more chance. And Maybe one more chance after that.
She laughed. One more chance, Zach, and Joe Biden in the wings, according to potential interview. According to the interviews that he did this morning, he's thinking about it.
Here are things I know. I know Hillary Clinton is not going to run again, and I know that we have an incredibly dynamic party with a very deep bench of people of all different ages and experiences, from Kamala Harris to Cory Booker to Jason Kander to Elizabeth Warren and others who are not old. They just have years of wisdom gained.
Charlie, significant that SNL is going after the Democrats now?
Well, I think it's an obvious target, and it's a very easy target. I mean, Joe Biden has been with us and he has been in Washington for 44 years. Yeah, and Bernie Sanders is a spring chicken, but he's also a communist.
We'll leave it there. Thanks, you guys. Good to see you.
All right. Well, what about this idea that you have some calling for, and that is another special counsel? We have so many of them, it feels like at times.
Well, we have one, but the reason we have one is because there is a conflict there. Jeff Sessions might be a witness for Bob Mueller, and the target might be Donald Trump.
He recused himself.
Right.
Right.
But do we need another special counsel to investigate Mrs. Clinton on emails, to investigate Mrs. Clinton on Uranium One, to investigate the FBI on the dossier? No. The Justice Department can do that job. The concept of an independent counsel should be very much the exception. These people have no accountability and unlimited budgets, and they can be dangerous. We should use them sparingly.
Show me an example in history, and I say we've had so many of them because we've had them and we've even known their names. They've become like, dinner plate names. What is the danger with having yet another layer of special counsel?
The danger is twofold. One is that they are not answerable to the president, who's answerable to the people. So there's a lack of accountability. Two is they have a tendency to want to justify their existence, and they may be seeking indictments in areas that are not actually under their bailiwick. Could you imagine if Bob Mueller spent 8 or 9 or 10 or 50 or $100 million of the Justice Department's budget and had nothing to show for it? So
I imagine it?
Yeah, so he wants something.
I think I could imagine.
He wants something to show for it. Hence, you see these indictments. Does the indictment of Manafort have anything to do with the president? No.
All right, real quickly, we have to run. What would you tell your friend Jeff Sessions about tomorrow?
Be very strong and be very certain, and don't hesitate. Enforce the law, no matter against whom it is to be enforced.
Judge Napolitano, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Pleasure,
it.
Harris.
Joining me now, retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer is a CIA-trained intel operative. John Bolton is former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and a Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, welcome. This struck me when I watched this play out yesterday. I mean, everyone, of course, is entitled to their opinion. But to watch this unfold while the president was in the middle of these, diplomatic discussions overseas was interesting, to say the least. Tony?
Well, Martha, you're completely correct. I mean, these guys are behaving like apparatchiks trying to undermine the government to create the Soviet Union. It's evil. Look, Jim Clapper is the last guy to be talking about someone being fooled. I briefed that man into an operation that only 10 people knew about, and at the end of the briefing, he looked at me like he had no idea what room he was in. This is completely insane. These people are being not only disloyal, they're being destructive. They're actually involved, as far as I can tell, in a campaign to disrupt everything. Clapper, Comey, Brennan all testified there was no hack. What President Trump said to clarify the issue regarding Putin was that, yes, there were 3 agencies and 1 DNI who said that it was hacked. He's got his current guys in there right now. Martha, I've talked to the current folks. They are very much aware of the Russian threat. But to the president's point, we cannot go around trying to poke people in the eye for what happened last year when we are now aware, and we need to hold them accountable, but we have other things we got to do. And remember, President Obama himself admitted that he ignored this threat, and these 2 guys allowed him to do that.
John Bolton, what do you think?
Well, I think it's the end of a long trend for the country that's been very destructive to see the heads of our intelligence agencies in the news so much. I really think the entire intelligence community's got to close the door behind them and go back into the shadows. I think it's wrong in this sense to have supposedly career officials out in public like this. I think as many people in the military have said, just because you become a civilian when you retire from the military, it impairs the civil-military relationship to become a public figure. I think much the same applies to the intelligence agencies, especially when you're dealing with military figures. So I think this incident is regrettable, but I'm afraid it comes at the end of a long series of episodes of people doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at the period under which these two gentlemen ran their organizations, and Tony, in your opinion, how was their record in terms of handling, in other countries, leadership, having a good understanding of what the dynamics were?
Well, that was the issue. As I mentioned, President Obama himself acknowledged that he ignored this threat. These men, in turn, did not do their job to say, Mr. President, you really need to take this seriously. Look, John Brennan, as far as I'm concerned, should have been at least twice brought up on charges for one thing. He leaked to reporters when he was still working at the White House for President Obama, leaked information to the press that resulted in MI6 losing a critical human net in Yemen. This is no small thing, and as my information is, he's done other things before he left office to leak to the media, to the New York Times in particular. So he has no record to stand on, and as John's point is, I believe that these men have become political pawns in a larger game. They don't want to walk away. They've missed having the authority they did, but during the time they had the authority, Martha, they abused it badly, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, Ambassador, what about the notion from James Clapper that the president's being played by Vladimir Putin and President Xi? Do you think there's anything to that?
I don't think so, and I think next perhaps General Clapper will become a shrink. I mean, listen, these opinions are not based on contact with the president. They're based on their reading of the political atmosphere, and I think it's reflective of the sad and very unfortunate politicization of the intelligence community under the Obama administration, and not necessarily gross things like distorting specific facts or adding in facts. It's the ideology that they carried out. Remember, General Clapper once said the Muslim Brotherhood was, I quote, a largely secular organization. That was the Obama administration ideology, that radical Islam doesn't exist. That's not based on intelligence. That's based on ideology. And they were guilty of it, and they're just continuing it in these public statements.
What about the interaction between Vladimir Putin and the president, Tony, in terms of him saying that, right, he believes that Vladimir Putin believes that they weren't involved?
Well, Putin is going. Look, the Russians set up tripwires, Martha, for both political parties last year. They meddled. Nobody's denying that. The issue is, obviously, we've got to hold the Russians to a certain level of, Russians are going to do what the Russians are going to do. They've done this always. Back to the Cold War. So the president is, I think, responding correctly. We've got to deal with them in Syria. We've got to deal with them in North Korea. We've got to convince them that there's some areas that we have to cooperate on. At the same time, understand that they are up to no good. They will do whatever they can to undermine what we're doing. It's just the way they operate. We have to have the relationship with our eyes open, but with some level of idea of what we want to do with that relationship.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good to see you both tonight.